Last week was my birthday and I got these cool communication buttons for Ellie to learn how to talk to me. There was a lot of interest in how you would train a dog to do something like that, and so I'm going to be making a mini series about how I would go about teaching a dog to use communication buttons, and I'll be posting videos as Ellie learns. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to teach your dog their first communication button. Subscribe and hit the bell for more videos just like this one. First things first, we need to teach our dog a paw target. Now this is really easy because most dogs already know how to shake someone's hand. But nonetheless, we need to teach them. So let's get to it. Start with a large-ish target, but not one big enough that your dog can fit more than one paw on it. For a dog like Elli Mae, I'd probably use something like a yogurt top or something similar in size. We are going to take the approach of shaping for this, and so you're going to want to start by rewarding any interaction with the yogurt top or whatever target you chose. So sniffing, looking at it, pawing it, especially that one. You get the point. Any interaction. When your dog understands that the target is key to getting treats, we're going to bump the criteria up a little bit and only accept interaction with their paws. Now as your dog starts to understand that, we want to make sure to shape it so that they're not digging but tapping the target so that it's a little bit cleaner. To do that, you typically just reward the best ones. When I go about this, I try to jackpot the ones I really like by giving them several treats, but the ones that are okay or decent, I'll only reward one in every 3. I do this because it keeps my dogs interested, but they understand what's getting rewarded more. So now that we have a dog that loves touching a target with their paw, we can now shift over to our buttons. But before we do that, we must strategically pick out which button we're going to give them first. For dogs that are extremely toy or food driven, it is not a good idea for their first button to be a food button or a toy button. This is because it will make it harder for them to realize that all buttons don't mean food or all buttons don't mean toys. So that can be one of their later buttons, but for now we need to teach them a different one. The easiest buttons to start with are the ones with obvious actions associated with them. So for example, an outside button. Your dog presses the button, they immediately go outside. It's pretty easy to pick up what that one means. You also need to understand that there may be a point in time when you first introduce buttons that your dog will be constantly pushing them. It's like when you teach your dog to speak on command. They might try it a lot to see if it works, and eventually they will just use it when they need to. But there might be a point in time where some dogs will push it more often just to figure out what things mean. This is yet another reason why you shouldn't start with a play or food button. Speaking of play and food, you don't reward your dog for pushing the button with either of these. Their reward is whatever the button says. So, for example, if your dog pushes the outside button, the reward for pushing the button is going outside. Does that make sense? You will also want to put your button right by the activity your dog is gonna do if they push it for the beginning. Then later we can group them into a main area, but for now keep it right next to the activity. So, for the outside button, we'll just put it right by the door. That will make it simpler. For your first button, you can just set it down. Since you just practiced paw targets, your dog is probably gonna go over there and touch it. If they don't, you can encourage them by tapping it a few times or just going back to paw targets and coming right back. And once your dog touches it, make sure you follow through on whatever the button says. The trick is to always follow through on what the button says immediately, especially in the beginning. Otherwise, your dog will lose value for using the buttons to communicate with you. And that is basically it for teaching your dog his first communication button. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that you hear when the next video in this series comes out. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I will be seeing you in the next video.